Meghan Markle's sensation. The difficult Duchess is returning to acting in a major Hollywood movie and has bravely agreed to play the villain herself. She'll join small star cast Lily Collins, Brie Larson and Jack Quaid in Close Personal Friends, a film about two couples divided by fame. 8 years after she retired from showbiz to take on the real-life role of a royal wife, Ms. Markle is heading back to the wonderful world of entertainment. But never mind the mildly interesting announcement. It's the timing of the announcement that is really raising eyebrows. Just as her nemesis, Prince William, was in Brazil soaking up the headlines amid the extensive coverage of his environmental Earthshot Prize, along came Meg in what looked suspiciously like a shameless bid to upstage him. Let's face it, the girl's got form. Who can forget the day it emerged that her sister-in-law, Kate, was set to make her first public appearance since revealing she was battling cancer, as the world thrilled to the happy prospect of the Princess of Wales attending the Trooping the Colour ceremony. The Duchess of Sussex unveiled her exciting plans to launch a range of dog biscuits. Which of these two stories do you think dominated the front pages? Take a wild guess. Meanwhile, her ladyship's hapless husband, Harry, is no slouch when it comes to relentlessly fighting the publicity war either, seizing the moment to issue his Remembrance Day statement just when his hated brother was basking in the media limelight down in South America. Blame it on Rio, but suddenly there was the Ginger Duke unleashing news of his pretend royal visit to Toronto. He was off to Canada to remember the fallen with his fellow military veterans. Nothing wrong with that, of course. Commendable, in fact. But why did Harry put out his press release at exactly the same time William was the focus of global attention? Take a wild guess. But back to Meghan's movie, and it's the latest sign of her whirling dervish approach to what to do next. Acting is her first love, apparently. Shame she's not much cop at it. Her thespian efforts tend to be a tad on the wooden side. I give you Suits, the legal drama in which she was outperformed by the furniture. But still, she thrashes out in all directions in increasingly desperate attempts to see what sticks. So far, not much. What a strange pair the Sussexes are, though. Meg thinks everyone wants 3 jars of jam for Christmas. Prince Harry thinks he's a working member of the royal family. And we all think, what planet are this ever more weird duo on? The answer, of course, is planet Sussex, where goodness knows anything goes. Yeah, her ladyship is still trying to flog you hideously overpriced mundane domestic products, and her harebrained husband still seems to believe nothing has changed since he swapped his important regal duties for an empty new life of nothingness on the faraway West Coast. As he fiercely fought the battle for newspaper column inches, Harry firmly denied that he was trying to overshadow his big brother, insisting the strategic Canada disclosure was nothing to do with sibling rivalry. Yeah, right. The Seething Spares team maintained the timing clash was because the dim Duke, and I quote, is not afforded the same level of security as other members of the royal family. But he's not a working member of the royal family, is he? Therefore, Harry's excuse went on, it means that the period of time in which we can release details of events is more truncated than it is for His Majesty the King or the Prince of Wales. Eh? If you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you in Florida. In other news, Harry has written an essay all by himself. Well, maybe. Recalling the glory days when he served his country. His 647-word opus is called The Bond, the Banter, the Bravery, What It Means to be British. Behind the gilded gates of the Montecito Palace in the Californian sun he shares with his Tinseltown wife, can the runaway prince even remember what it means to be British? You decide.
And we've got the front page splash of The Sun. Royal Dodge. Disgraced Andrew Windsor is spending his last weeks at Royal Lodge ranting to himself as ex-wife and fellow resident Sarah Ferguson pours out her heart to staff at a secret bar called the Doghouse. Do we know what kind of frame of mind Andrew and Fergie are in at the moment?
Well, I do know that Fergie, people are actually worried about her. She's in such a bad frame of mind. And I also found out that Andrew, and I think it's in this piece a bit, but Andrew finally, and it's taken a monumental Herculean fall from grace, but Andrew is finally starting to appear less arrogant, apparently, behind the scenes, and is starting to catch a tiny glimpse of what the rest of us would call humility and self-awareness. But Fergie, people are actually worried about. I think her mental health is really at a low ebb. As you say, she goes drinking at the Doghouse, her pub. I know the girls are kind of, they want to freeze their parents out. They're cross with their parents, they're angry with their parents, but equally, they have stayed in touch because they're genuinely so worried about where their mental health is at. And in a way, I don't have sympathy for them. I think that's the wrong word. But imagine what it must be like, kind of trapped in your house, knowing you've got literally nothing for the rest of your life. Nothing. No social engagements, royal life titles, nothing. So it's a very daunting future for them.
It most definitely is. Now, Andrew's laughing all the way to the bank, isn't he? Because this deal that he brokered with King Charles means that he'll stay in Sandringham for see out his years on the Sandringham estate. There's a degree of security there because it's a royal set of properties, and the accommodation will be bankrolled by the King. The same can't be said for Fergie, who's homeless and not swimming in cash by the looks of it.
Yes, she's hoping some sort of generous benefactor will take her in. But the thing is, that's been happening now for 30 years. She must have run out of people. And we know she did run out of people because that's why she was tapping up Epstein all the time. So people are worried about where she's going to go. There was some talk she might go to the UAE or Dubai because she's done America. She's obviously done the UK high society and nobody will take her in there. But then there's the worry about security, that apparently she's very, very paranoid at the moment. And she thinks she'll be targeted, or maybe Andrew will be. She believes there are dark forces out there. It's really got echoes of the Princess Diana era. And of course, there have been a lot of suicides and deaths around the whole Epstein saga. So she's worried that if she goes abroad, will she have security? And indeed, if she stays in the UK, will she have security? But she's not going Sandringham with Andrew. You know, that their kind of strange together but separated arrangement will come to an end. And they're living on opposite ends of Royal Lodge at the moment, and they just come together occasionally for drinks and dinner.
Does the fragile peace between the two of them suggest that actually, maybe they've fallen out now? I mean, do we know about the state of their actual relationship? Are they still on reasonable terms, do we know?
I think they are still on reasonable terms, and Fergie is worried about Andrew and still thinks he's an honourable and good man, and that's what came across in the Sun piece. But I just don't know if they will remain close after this. Then again, they don't really have any other friends. They have some remaining friends, but mostly they've been frozen out by everyone and, of course, by their own families. So really, all they have is each other and the girls. So I definitely don't think they're as close as they used to be. But I think it's not totally, they haven't totally fallen out, I'd say.
Fergie is obviously the world's most famous sofa surfer. She sold her Mayfair property at a £400,000 loss, having purchased it as an investment just a few years ago, which would suggest financial problems or certainly cash flow issues. She can't afford to retire, can she, and see out her days in leisure. Is there still a chance that she could do a tell-all book, Fergie, My Story, and make millions?
I think there's every chance, because her children's books have been stripped from the shelves. They're due to be out this week or next week, I think. That was her latest money-making scheme, another set of children's books. Obviously, they're not going to come out now, so I think she'll write another autobiography. The problem is she's done many of those. She's done many Oprahs. There's nothing really we don't know about Fergie. She's pretty an open book. So I probably find it quite interesting to buy a book by Fergie at this point, but I don't know if people will be rushing.
But do you not think that she's had one hand tied behind her back because of the protection of her princess daughters and her reasonable friendship with Prince Andrew? Do you not think that there is a no-holds-barred, warts-and-all tell-all story waiting to be shared with the world?
Well, I suppose she could go kamikaze, couldn't she? I don't think it's in her to do that. But you're right, actually. If she's not protected by Royal Lodge and she's got no skin in the game, being kind about the royal family, she could take them down. She never has done before. She's always remained so, so loyal to them. And she might think, well, if I've got any chance of having the odd shekel thrown my way, perhaps I shouldn't.
Well, she knows where the bodies are buried, doesn't she?
Certainly for Andrew and all his circuit and circle friends and the Epstein era, she does know where all the...
And Charles's treatment of Diana, given the fact that she and Diana were close back in the day.
Okay, now Mark, you're putting actually a very good case forward. Maybe she should do the 80s tell-all, what really happened behind the scenes.
The problem is it would be a scorched earth policy, wouldn't it? And her daughters would never forgive her. So it's a fascinating one.
Here, and if you're watching, see what is happening down at the cenotaph. A long line of politicians, current and former prime ministers, and senior politicians, plus of course the top brass of the military from our armed services are there. Daniel, it's great to have you on the programme to narrate this through us. Tell us what's happening now.
Good morning, Peter. Very, very good to meet you. The politicians, former prime ministers, of which there are quite a lot these days,
yes,
are lining up, have already lined up at the cenotaph, and we are waiting His Majesty the King and other members of the royal family, some of whom will be laying wreaths and others will be watching from the balcony of the Foreign Office. This kind of weather in Whitehall, this kind of weather in November, a low sun, but bright sun, is very, very evocative. I've been there on such a day, and it really brings home to you the importance of the occasion. There's something about this weak sun, but quite strong in some ways, that just puts a wonderful atmosphere on the occasion. Now, this year we commemorate, actually, of course, as you know, Peter, the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, both VE Day and VJ Day, and that's really the principal focus of the Royal British Legion this year. Few veterans still left, amazing ages some of them have reached, but there are still veterans and they want us all to remember it. This year, we've clearly seen growing problems in the face of peace and defence, and we've seen the government about to increase the budget for defence.
yes. And those
but it is also worth mentioning, with this much smaller military that we have at the moment, in the last year that we have figures available, only 59 servicemen died, and most of those were through accidents.
Yes, and we see some of those political leaders who've made some of that decision, some of those very tough decisions, of course, some still controversial to this day. Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, is there holding a wreath, as is Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative leader, beside him, and members of the main parties in Parliament behind the Prime Minister, many former Prime Ministers. And on the balcony there, Queen Camilla and the Princess of Wales on the balcony of the Foreign Office. We can see them there. And of course, we're coming up to the 1 minute silence, which we will of course observe here in full on Talk, and then Daniel and I will narrate through what is happening next. And we can see the King, who is walking up to the cenotaph in the middle of Whitehall, right in the centre of London, and various people just getting ready there to hand him, of course, the wreath that he will lay on the cenotaph. There are just 30 seconds now until the 2 minute silence. We're going to observe it here. Of course, I'm sure you will be doing so at home. All of our colleagues behind the scenes will, of course, be standing in silence to commemorate those who made the ultimate sacrifice. The last post playing there at the cenotaph, and now the King, King Charles, being handed the wreath by his equerry, and he is going up to the cenotaph to lay the wreath on behalf of the nation. Daniel.
His Majesty places his wreath at the cenotaph. Salutes and bows to the fallen. Now he will be followed by Her Majesty the Queen's equerry, Major Ollie Blunkett, who is laying a wreath on behalf of the Queen, who is watching from the Foreign Office balcony.
She's alongside the Princess of Wales on that balcony at the Foreign Office, just outside the cenotaph, of course, on Whitehall, which has Downing Street, the Foreign Office, the Treasury and other government buildings.
His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, just back from Brazil, together with the Prime Minister, lays his wreath. And he's followed by the Duke of Edinburgh. Princess Anne is actually in Australia this week, and I'm sure she'll be at a Remembrance Day service there. So her wreath this year will be laid by her equerry, Lieutenant Colonel Catherine Schooner.
I was very privileged a few years ago in New Zealand to celebrate Anzac Day, when the New Zealanders and Australians remember those who gave so much, of course, from New Zealand and Australia, many servicemen in World War II, and since then key members of the Commonwealth. And Anzac Day is a very important commemoration, just as Remembrance Day is, of course, here in the UK, Daniel.
Indeed it is, and I've actually been to a similar service in Australia, Peter. It's dealt with in the same reverence as it is here. It means a lot to almost every Commonwealth country, and many beyond.
Hooray!
I was just going to add that the final wreath was laid by Captain Peter Mayborough, the Duke of Kent's equerry, 90 just a month ago, 90 exactly a month ago. The Duke of Kent, he's lived through 5 reigns. He lost his wife, of course, of 62 years a month before his birthday, and it's an emotional time for him. Peter.
The Prime Minister now, Sir Keir Starmer, laying his wreath. He is leading quite a number of politicians, but of course as Prime Minister of this country, laying his wreath on the cenotaph. This is just beside Downing Street, so a very short walk from the Prime Minister back from Brazil, back from COP30, that environmental conference. And of course he is bowing to the cenotaph, and will be followed by Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative leader of the opposition. And this is one of the rare occasions when we see political leaders united in their mission to remember. Kemi Badenoch wearing a hat, dressed in black, of course, as basically everyone is behind her in black coats and so on. She is walking up to the cenotaph now and laying her wreath as leader of His Majesty's opposition, wearing, I think, a ceramic poppy on her left side, stepping back, of course, walking backwards and bowing to the cenotaph. She will go back to the line now. It has many senior politicians, including former Prime Ministers, members of the Cabinet, Foreign Office and Home Office represented. The Speaker, of course, there too. He lay his wreath in a moment. But now it's the turn of Sir Edward Davey, who is, of course, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, the third largest party in the House of Commons. And Ed Davey will lay his wreath at the cenotaph now, making sure that all the parties, really in order of their seniority in Parliament, are represented to some degree, some by their leaders and others taken in turns to do that over the course of the years. Smaller parties as well, of course, there. It's now the turn of Liz Saville-Roberts, who is the leader of Plaid Cymru in Westminster. Anyway, there's a different leader in Wales, but she's the leader of their Westminster party, and she is laying the wreath. And I think I'm right, Daniel, to say that the SNP and Plaid Cymru usually take it in turns. So the SNP not there at this moment, of course, but there'll be many other ceremonies right around the country, including in Scotland, where the SNP are represented.
Right. Exactly right, Peter. The SNP and Plaid take turns to do this ceremony, but I'm absolutely sure, I've seen it once, there'll be a very large ceremony at Edinburgh Castle and other locations, of course, around Scotland. And here is Gavin Robinson of the DUP.
Gavin Robinson now, who is leader of the Democratic Unionists, the DUP in Northern Ireland, the largest unionist party in Northern Ireland. He is laying his wreath now, and we see that happening there. Nigel Farage will not be laying a wreath today at the Cenotaph. The smaller parties, of course, Reform just have 5 MPs. They're represented, they take it in turns as well, I think, Daniel, in regard to the smaller parties being represented.
This gets Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons, to lay his wreath. This gets debated from time to time, Peter, but the current rule is that a party must have 6 MPs to be elected to the Commons to take a place at the Cenotaph.
Okay. So that's Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House of Commons, laying his wreath. And I think I'm right in saying that Lord McFall, John McFall, has indicated actually that he's going to be retiring as Speaker of the House of Lords, will be laying his wreath now. He's going up to the Cenotaph. There's so many political leaders, of course, who are doing that. And Lord McFall, John McFall, former Labour Minister in Northern Ireland, actually, amongst other ministerial positions, laying his wreath now, Daniel.
Yet Lord McFall of Maccleuth. Yes, he has said he'll be retiring in February. His wife is unwell, and he says it's my turn to look after him after so many years of hope when I've been in politics. So this is his last wreath-laying ceremony. And now we have the Foreign Secretary and the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper and Shabana Mahmood, laying on behalf of the Foreign Office, and also for Shabana Mahmood laying her wreath on behalf of the intelligence services.
Of course, so many members of the intelligence services absolutely key to victory in World War II. We remember, of course, the incredible work that happened at Bletchley Park, and Alan Turing and his colleagues who did such incredible work with the Enigma machines and the codes there. We're going to leave the coverage now, but Daniel, thank you very much for guiding us through it. Daniel Britton, the parliamentary and constitutional historian. Perhaps a final thought just before you go, Daniel, just in regard to Remembrance Sunday this year. Important every year, of course, but why particularly this year in your view, Daniel?
It has been very much the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. We saw some big celebrations in May, and then some slightly smaller ones connected with VJ Day in August. But probably like you, Peter, and many thousands and thousands of others, every year at this time, I remember 2 relations, of course, that I never met. My great uncle, who was killed in the First World War, and my uncle, who was killed in the Second World War a few weeks after D-Day. So it marks an occasion when I think about them particularly.
Earlier, I got a furious text message from Andrew, who said, Mark, I own a steelworks company, and this net zero exercise is putting us out of business. Prince William, the Prince of Wales, should walk a mile in my shoes and refrain from spouting off with his privileged advice. Is he so divorced from reality? I've got calls of that nature too, saying that the Prince of Wales should stay out of politics. Let's get reaction from Talk's royal correspondent, Rupert Bell. Good morning, Rupert.
Good morning, Mark.
Now, clearly, Rupert, we want to clean up the planet. No one enjoys pollution, and we must preserve the earth that was bestowed upon us. But It's a very fine line, isn't it, between a caring message about the environment and party politics?
Yes, and the royal family have to make sure they don't seem to be adopting a political line. They've got to be apolitical. Now, the king, he was always quite strong before he ascended to the throne on his views about the environment, but now he's been much more circumspect with what he says. But for William, it's going to be something he's going to have to contend with when he does become king. How does he avoid getting himself in political hot water, whatever your view? Now, we know he's passionate about the environment, and obviously he's been down at COP in Brazil and also his Earthshot Prize, and it is something he's got to make sure, how does he, excuse me,
bless you,
navigate through these difficult waters for him, because he is passionate about it, but it is something that could find himself basically alienating himself from great swathes of the population if he goes too far one way. So that's something he's got to think about going forward. So it is a very difficult one. At the moment, he probably is able to just about get away with it, but it is something he's going to have to think further down the line. What does he do now to make sure that he doesn't upset people and take a political view on things?
Well, that's right, because like I say, we can all agree, can't we? You and I, Rupert, my viewers and listeners, that we should protect the environment. But if you go all out with net zero, that has implications for the lives of ordinary people, whether it's energy bills or needing a heat pump boiler or an electric car, and that's where it enters the realm of politics. And it's difficult to take lectures from someone that lives in a multi-room mansion or indeed castle.
Well, and this is the point for him. He is passionate about it, and we've seen what he's done with Earthshot, and no one's probably saying these are bad initiatives.
Sure.
But it's where it goes, does he go too far? Now, net zero is controversial. End of. We know. TalkTV listeners would in the main prove how controversial it is. And so something has, for the Prince William, he is going to have to think very hard how far he goes with this issue. Yes, he wants to support Earthshot and environmental issues, and he says he wants to, like everyone, leave the planet in a better place for his children and grandchildren. No one's saying that that's a bad thing to be doing, but where does he draw the line about when does he enter the realms of politics? And bearing in mind you had Keir Starmer alongside him, so it does have a very political feel about it. So that is something that he's going to have to watch going forward.
Is he doing his father's bidding? Because we know that the king has stepped away from the net zero debate, given that he's now our monarch. So is he doing this on behalf of his king and possibly trying to, on behalf of the king, is he trying to please his father with this activism?
I think he was there representing the king at the COP conference. So in a way you could say perhaps he is. But I think this is deep felt. So, and it is something, if you look, Prince Philip was passionate about what set up the World Wildlife Fund. You then, excuse me,
bless you.
You then had the king as well, very much in favour of environmental issues, but has taken a back step there. And last night was obviously at the service of Remembrance at the Royal Albert Hall. So you actually know that it is something the family are interested in about and feel that they can do some good and use their voice to help these issues. But there is this fine line. When does he enter the realm of politics? And of course, we saw pictures of him with Keir Starmer, and that again shows, well, there's a political message to what's going on down in Brazil.
Most definitely. He will learn on the job. Do you feel now that the Andrew story is starting to sort of recede a little bit, and the King and the Prince of Wales, Princess of Wales, and other senior royals can now get on with the job again?
I'm not sure that is the case. I really don't. I think, there are obviously talk of parliamentary discussions this week about Andrew's conduct and his financial situation. Obviously, you've had the Congress asking for him to come forward as a witness. Will he? We'll know on November the 20th. So this Andrew story isn't going away, but obviously they want it to try and be deflected, and that's why they got rid of his titles. But I don't think it's going away yet. There's still a lot of water to go under that bridge, and the royal family are probably not going to get away scot-free, as it were, in terms of the headlines, because Andrew is a problem that they won't go away, as far as I'm concerned.
We had a wild weekend in the royal watching community, so I did think it was crucial that we caught up today.
Yeah, indeed, and that we got a decent amount of time in, so we're going to go across the news with you. So first of all, just by way of a little bit of footage, a little bit of film, here's what Her Majesty, Her Ladyship, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, has been posting on Instagram. Now listen, Kinsey, I've got to explain this to the audience. Those of you who have not got sort of degrees in culinary arts or are not cordon bleu chefs, don't try that, because that is only for people who are really, really skillful in the kitchen, right? I mean, where did she get her ideas from? So it's a bagel with some cream cheese and bits of fruit in it and some dried flowers. That's it. This is going to be part of her holiday special with Love Meghan on Netflix coming this Christmas, right?
Yes. I mean, wait, are we even going to talk about the fact that it directly conflicts with Catherine's Carol concert, Princess Catherine, that she's done this, so it's released basically
I didn't even know that. Or has she done it again, has she?
Classic. I mean, and the reason why I think that's interesting, or the date specifically is interesting, is because she either didn't know, she lied, or plans changed, because during her Fortune Most Powerful Women speech or sit down last month in Washington, D.C., she specifically said that the Christmas special was coming out in November. So now we see that it's coming out the week before, or it's coming out the same week that Catherine typically does her Christmas Carol concert, December 5th. I also had the press release Netflix sent to me. Do you care to hear what the press release says?
Yes, please. Yeah, of course.
Well, of course, embrace traditions and make new ones this holiday season. You do have to make a lot of new traditions when you have no friends and family left. So I get that, Meghan Markle. With Love Meghan, holiday celebration arrives December 3rd. And it says, this December, join Meghan in Montecito for a magical holiday celebration. Together, friends and family deck the halls, create holiday feasts, craft heartfelt gifts, and share lots of laughs with simple how-tos to follow at home. It's a holiday wonder with warmth, tradition, and a generous dose of joy.
Excuse me, pass the sick bucket, please.
Exactly.
How does she think, Kins? Why does she think that there's any point in saying, here's some bagels, here's some cream cheese, oh look, there's bits of fruit in it, and oh yeah, dried flowers. What is the damn point? What's the point of that?
My friend Scott Rouse sent me the flower sprinkles, and I almost sued him. I almost called the police on him because I thought, I do not want this in my home. When I opened it, I felt like I was getting hit in the face with the potpourri aisle at Dillard's. Yeah. It's not appetizing at all. It's not something I would ever think to consume. Did it remind me of something that might be hovering in the bathroom, you know, at a
bit like crushed. Yes. They're like crushed insects. So I managed to get some as well when I made my famous cookie dough cookies, and we put the, you know, they sent me this packet of dry flowers. What was it? $12 or something. And so anyway, but be utterly pointless. Very, very strange. We've still got time to talk about the weekend trip.
Wait, can I just
go on? Go.
It is interesting to me because it lists the executive producers for Archewell, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Enjoy that title. And then it says a couple of other people. Why is Meghan listed as an executive producer on Harry's projects, and Harry is not listed as an executive producer on Meghan's projects? I think that if everything is hunky-dory at home and you're trying to look like a tight-knit unit, then you're going to slap his name on the project the same way you slapped your name on his polo project.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of talk at the moment about every time when they went to the Dodgers game the other week, there was a picture of him looking very scowly. And this weekend, a couple of issues to discuss about the Gruesome Twosomes outing. They went to Kris Jenner's 70th birthday, a 007 James Bond theme birthday party at Jeff Bezos's 165
Were they the
million.
villains? Were they the villains
yeah,
in the
probably,
story?
Yeah. They both. She went stroking a cat like Blofeld or something. But anyway, they went to Jeff Bezos's mansion for this special party for Kris Jenner, and so Harry turned up wearing a poppy. And she didn't wear a poppy. So there was a lot of people saying, well, where's your damn poppy? And she said, well, it's because they're not widely available here in America. Well, okay, but your husband's got one. I mean, that doesn't really wash. So she probably...
You know what? I had to order an emergency poppy as a gift because I stole one of my friends. $8.99 on Amazon. I had it overnight. Meghan, you're lying. You are lying. You are lying. You are lying.
She just didn't do it, did she? She just forgot.
No, she didn't. She doesn't. She didn't just forget. She doesn't care, Kevin. She doesn't care about your traditions. She doesn't care about your history. She doesn't care about your country. She's bored by it. She doesn't like to follow the rules. She doesn't care. She continuously disrespects the institution and the country that she married into.
Well, I would tend to agree, and you know, I'm being generous when I said she forgot, because it's hard to believe she just forgot, because all she had to do was look to her left, and there's her husband with to his credit, with a great big poppy on. So why is he wearing one and she didn't? Given that they are both officially members of the royal family.
Well, yeah,
the British
Meghan, Duchess of Sussex.
Well, she's a member of the British royal family. She should have paid respect to Britain's fallen war heroes, don't you think?
Especially since Prince Harry is forcing his half-in, half-out royal status by showing up in Canada at a veterans center and saying on TV that, oh, he's so happy to visit the center that his aunt, grandmother, and great-grandmother visited, basically saying, I am the Queen's grandson. I'm forcing this half-in, half-out, strategy that the Queen specifically said you can't do. Yeah, if you're going to become the face for veterans in the Commonwealth, then the least your wife can do is wear a poppy.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk to. We're going to go to the news in just a few seconds, Kinsey. But what I'd like to talk about when we come back after the news is this continued campaign by Prince Harry to go back on what her late great Majesty the Queen wanted. She said you can't do half in, half out. You can't just do some royal duties and then swan on back to California to enjoy the sunshine there. You can't do that.
And the Kardashians.
You can't, and the Kardashians. You can't just do that. And apparently he was stunned when she said no, and he's never got over that. And he's still campaigning for that to happen, which I think disrespects her memory. And also, the king will never allow it. But you know what he's like? Once he gets an idea in his head, he's like a dog with a bone. He won't give up. The Prince Harry, for Remembrance weekend, if you like, went up to Canada to join, I think, some probably British veterans. A lot of Canadian soldiers fought in the army. So nothing wrong with this, by the way. He hooked up with some fellow military veterans to pay tribute to the fallen, to the veterans who risked and gave their lives for their country. So he went up to do that, and then came back and went to Kris Jenner's 70th birthday party, business as usual. But the point, what people are saying is that when he went to Canada, this is the latest example of him desperately trying to show the royal family, the king and the rest of the royal family back here in Britain, look, here I am doing a Remembrance Sunday thing. I could still be really useful to the royal family.
I could contribute.
Performing frontline duties. He still hasn't given up on that idea, and he's hoping that King Charles will go, oh, never mind what my mum said, let's get him back for partial duties. Never going to happen, is it? But he won't give up.
No, and if you're anything like me, yes, I appreciate any acknowledgement of our veterans. I love our veterans all over the world. But I'm not going to forgive and forget the fact while Harry is posing for the cameras next to elderly veterans, I am not going to forgive and forget the way he treated his grandmother and his grandfather in their twilight years. You can't just take pictures next to elderly veterans and erase your horrific behavior towards two very brave people that also fought for your country, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip in their own ways. It all just looks like a PR push when it comes to Harry. By the way, did you know that the families of those veterans received an email that said Prince Harry is coming and you're not allowed to come to the venue while he's here. Under any circumstances, do not show up while Harry's here. So Harry running people, keeping people away from their family members so that he can get the perfect shot, so that he can get the perfect image for his own PR ambitions. I just think it all looks highly choreographed because he realizes what in his mess kit and is trying to generate some public support by doing the things that people fell in love with him for doing in the first place. Well, your behavior over the last 5 years told us so much more about you than the image that the palace had constructed of you that we now know to be fake and inauthentic. You have turned out to be an incredibly selfish individual. So when I see the pictures of him and these elderly people in Canada, I think to myself, how unfortunate that you couldn't have shown your grandmother and your grandfather that same generosity, kindness, empathy, and compassion.
A very good point. Well said, Kinsey. But let's see where he heads next. But he's not going to. It's like his obsession about getting an armed police gun guard when he comes back to Britain. He's lost that case. He's lost that case. He's lost that case. He's spent millions of pounds on it. But he won't give up. He's so stubborn, like a little kid who doesn't get his own way. And he's not going to give up on this halfway in, halfway out royal duty thing. And it's never going to happen. But you know what he's like. Let's talk about...
Also, do you not see the hypocrisy in the fact that the Kardashians have spent the last 20 years of their lives selling their family secrets? That's literally how they made themselves, selling their family secrets. Look at TMZ in the last 48 hours. Kris Jenner's birthday, Kylie Jenner's cat, Kim Kardashian failing the bar exam. The Kardashians have the media on speed dial. They are not trustworthy individuals. But Harry accuses his family of doing the exact same thing, and that's unforgivable.
To be fair to the Kardashians, that's what they do. They've turned themselves into
But why is it okay for the Kardashians, and Harry claims when Harry claims his family does sell secrets about him or sells secrets, then all of a sudden it's unforgivable and I see what you mean, yeah, but there can be no equivalence drawn. But this is the trouble. I think Meghan doesn't quite see the difference. There's no equivalence between the royal family and the Kardashians, She doesn't see the difference. The Kardashians are where they are because Kim Kardashian made a sex tape with Ray J, and Kim Kardashian, releasing her underwear with details on the front of them in the last few weeks.
Oh my God.
And these are the people that she is chasing after in the United States, and she left this historic, powerful, relevant, culturally relevant institution that's built on doing things for other people. Yeah. Meghan would rather associate with the people that are so vapid, shallow, and only out to benefit themselves.
Yeah, well, that sort of fits in with everything that she adds up to, I think. Let's talk, before you go, Kins, about her movie. She's making this movie called Close Personal Friends with a small star cast. Lily Collins, was it Jack Quaid? Who else? Remind me. Anyway, Brie Larson. Yeah. So she's making this movie, in which she plays herself about two couples, one famous, one not famous. Sounds mildly interesting. She says she's been inundated with scripts ever since she stopped acting 8 years ago. I kind of doubt that. And if this was the one that's tempted her back, what's so great about this one? Not a very star-studded cast, clearly quite a low-budget thing. She's just got to pay herself. I think she's snapped up the first offer she got. And the reason she's done this, according to speculation in the British press, big piece in the Daily Mail on Saturday, is she's taken this acting job because they need the money. Do you think that is the case? Do you think now the Sussexes, having lost their $100 million Netflix deal, having lost their Spotify deal, are now, you know, looking for ways to make money on a quite urgent basis?
The only reason why I question that is because they have been donating a lot of money recently. I mean, I feel like they kind of had to donate that money. We saw them donate hours before they showed up at Kris Jenner's house because they knew people would be saying online, like, people have run out of their SNAP benefits and you're partying at Jeff Bezos' house. You look ridiculous. But they have donated a significant amount of money. I mean, I really think Meghan Markle just likes the attention, but I would say what a great example of Harry and Meghan's disloyalty. They've been on the Netflix roster for 5 years now. There were plenty of opportunities for Meghan to do cameos in different Netflix films and series because Meghan Markle is mentioned in different Netflix films and series. She was just mentioned in Nobody Wants This Season 2. And that's just one example of Meghan Markle pop culture references in Netflix scripted TV and movies. So Meghan runs over to Amazon, you know, instead of giving her first cameo to Netflix, these people that have put a significant amount of money in her pocket. Harry has to apologize in Canada for wearing the Dodgers cap. I mean, where's the due diligence? Where's the loyalty? You know, Harry and Meghan are loyal to nobody except for themselves, or who's willing to give them a hand.
By the way, so Harry, as you say, for Remembrance weekend, went up to Toronto for Remembrance services. As I say, keep saying nothing wrong with that, by the way. But anyway, he goes up there, and the Torontans, is that what you call them? Anyway, they're taunting him and saying, "What were you doing down in LA wearing that LA Dodgers baseball cap when the LA Dodgers were playing the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series? Why weren't you wearing it?" And he made some sort of joke about, "Oh, well, actually, I was just trying to cover up my bald spot." And as I mentioned to you on WhatsApp, bald spot, that is the world's biggest bald spot, isn't it? How much longer is he going to hang on to those 7 strands of red hair around his balding pate?
I'd say it's karma for how ugly he was about Prince Williams. And now Prince William's literally being voted the sexiest bald man in the world. So, but yeah, he also said he was in duress, and he had to because the owner of the Dodgers had invited him. Nice little, you know, humble brag in that sentence that he had to because he was personally invited by the owners of the Dodgers. Yeah,
okay then, all right. Because, of course, Meghan wore an LA Dodgers cap as well, and she's got this big Canadian affinity, isn't she, having made suits up there. So it was felt that she betrayed the Blue Jays, and so did Harry. But just before you go, Kinsey, we discussed this before, but just how worried do you think the Sussexes should be about their titles? Because I'm hearing more and more that Prince William, I don't want him to ascend to the throne anytime soon, obviously, because of King Charles and all that. But when he does take power, their titles will be gone, along with the former Prince Andrew, now Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's going to take their titles away, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Paula Froelich of News Nation reported last week that William will never willingly be in the same room as Harry again, except perhaps at the king's deathbed and possibly the funeral. And according to her sources, William might not even want him at the funeral. I doubt that his courtiers would allow a full ban, but that's what's being reported. And they're saying that just Harry was never this spoiled before marrying Meghan. He was not this bitter. He understood what the rules were. And that this new person that they're saying that married Meghan is unrecognizable to Prince William. And they, you know, even with the way that Harry announced his trip to Canada in the middle of a very important trip between Earthshot and COP30 for Prince William, They're saying that it was deliberate. Harry is a spoiled brat who wants the attention. He's very jealous of William, and he's not getting good guidance. He looks miserable all the time. And I would say, yes, he looked so miserable outside of Kris Jenner's birthday party.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? I mean, and he didn't look too pleased for much of the time at the LA Dodgers last year. Every time we see him out these days, he's kind of scowling. Now, we always sort of speculate, just how happy are things behind the gilded gates of Montecito Towers. I mean, more and more, he's kind of betraying perhaps that things aren't that happy at home because he looks so permanently miserable, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Well, and he knows that it's not just the media that are documenting his life now. It's happening inside his home. Meghan Markle's there putting together a full production reel when she goes out one night to a Dodgers game. There were probably instructions not for everybody to have their cell phone out at Kris Jenner's party, but if there were, I can't imagine how obnoxious that reel would have looked coming from Meghan Markle to prove that, people know who she is and she can get a picture with Gayle King still. So I think that he doesn't like being on display in the way that she's got him on display lately.
Yeah, like he's playing a bit part in the real life movie of her life, and he looks very fed up.
Yes, overnight, one of the main news stories, a new batch of Jeffrey Epstein's emails claiming, which is a shot in the arm for everybody like Victoria Hervey and all these people who said it's fake, that the Andrew photo with Virginia Giuffre, which emerged in 2011, is, Kinsey Schofield, real.
Yeah, and it's matter of fact, the way he puts it in the email. He says, there's a picture of them together. I don't think this can hurt Prince Andrew anymore. I think I've said this to you before. I feel like I'm not defending him.
No, I know what you're gonna
but
say.
Is he a scapegoat? Why are we only hearing about British men when this is an American, this is truly an American-born crime?
Mm-hmm.
I think that a lot of this is distraction, but, Prince Andrew should have never said, I never met her, I don't remember meeting her. He shouldn't have alluded to the fact that the image wasn't real or had friends speak out. Remember, they did that bizarre reenactment where people tried to fit in the bathtub together and they were wearing masks of Andy and Virginia. So, I just think that this was all handled so poorly. He should have never sat down with the BBC. I know the BBC's getting a lot of play lately, but he should have never done that.
Well, you would never sit down with the BBC because they probably edit it completely differently. But I'm going to take your thing a stage further. Emails overnight as well confirming that Peter Mandelson, the ex-ambassador that the Labour Party employed to the United States, sacked some weeks ago, was still in contact with Epstein in 2016 after the financier pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor in 2008. So it's been on Mandelson, it's been on Andrew, and I take your point, both of whom vile human beings, haven't got a moment for them. Donald Trump, though, also overnight, we're told, this is really interesting, Epstein claimed that Trump spent hours with Virginia Giuffre at his house. I asked Charles Felon earlier about, an analyst from America, a host of a podcast, I think SOS America, did he think this would impact on Trump? And he went no, because he can sell it as the Democrats simply stirring the pot. My question
Which he
then
already is, yes.
How can Trump get away with it then, and everybody else
I'll tell you
not?
exactly how Trump can get away with it, because Virginia Giuffre there was a book released post her death, her unfortunate suicide, and in that book she says that Trump was nothing but friendly to her. She doesn't allude to the fact that there was any type of inappropriate relationship whatsoever in that book. And so I think that that's how Trump gets away with it. She had nothing to lose when writing this book. She goes into detail about multiple other individuals, including former Prince Andrew, throughout this book, in very embarrassing and vulgar allegations. So if she had something to say about Donald Trump, this would have been the time, and they likely would have gotten away with it if she did have anything to say about Donald Trump. So I think that tells us everything we need to know. She did work for him prior to meeting Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago. So I think that they, might have had a friendly relationship. She was one of the cute girls running around his estate.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Just very quickly before we move on to the royal family, it's not going to go away, this Epstein trial thing, is it? The email thing. It's just there and there.
This slow leak,
Yeah.
absolutely not. We're going to get more. I mean, people are combing through these emails, and the reason I think that we haven't had a major Andrew dump is because there are certain times where Epstein uses code when talking to Virginia. And so people are going to have to comb over these emails, and it's going to be like a game of Tetris or a puzzle where they figure out that this means that and that means this, and this must, you know, that this must be in regards to Andrew and potentially the access that they did have to the royal family and royal family estates. It's all very embarrassing.
It's hugely embarrassing, and let's bring it to the royals. There was a sneak preview of the newly renovated Forest Lodge. Kate and William moving in, or have moved into their forever home on the Windsor estate. Honestly, you're so good at this. Kate's tastefully discreet decor. All you could see was a wall, 2 pictures and some curtains, for Christ's sake. Come on.
I know,
saw it.
But it was giving...
The carpet might be garish. Nobody could see anything.
Well, nothing would be more garish than Princess Diana's Kensington Palace suite. Do you remember? It was like pink. There were pink couches.
Been inside it.
Oh, really? Really?
Absolutely.
Will you do you have time to tell me? What was that?
Not on there, but I have.
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Been in the Queen Mother's bedroom.
Oh, yeah, I did know about that. You have told me about that. But this, I just think it's sweet to see what their new life's going to be like. This is going, like you said, the reason why royal watchers are excited about this is because this is the family settling down. They're about to raise teenagers. You know how exciting and stressful that can be.
I'd say stressful. I wouldn't say exciting. There's nothing exciting about raising teenagers. What are you talking about? They do this. What? Why have you stopped conversing with me? You know, there's a series over here called Kevin and Perry. They're like, when you become a teenager, literally, that is what you get 24/7. Just grunting unless they want something.
Well, you know, it looks it just looks cozy, and that's what we love about William and Catherine. They are, they're similar to the Queen. There's stability there, and we feel comfort in them and their family. We love them and their family. So I think that that's why this is relevant to royal watchers.
I'll tell you what I do think as a royalist. I think they are the absolute future of the monarchy. I think that Iron Kate, as you and I have called her for many months and years, will save the British royal family, because all of the stuff with Harry and my next subject, and you think about all the problems that have happened, Andrew especially, it's just fueled the argument for the Republicans. I'll do it. Meghan Markle's been branded an inexperienced cook with no table etiquette. Why am I doing this for a living? As she shares a recipe for cream cheese bagels. Right, anybody who eats a cream cheese bagel, that's weird enough in itself, isn't it, right?
What? I love cream cheese bagels.
With what? Salmon?
I just like, no, I do a bagel, and I do like an...
Oh, you're such an inexperienced cook.
I am in it, but I would tell you I'm in it. I would not try to release a lifestyle line. Like if
yes,
it's not,
you would if I gave you the
If it's not microwavable, I don't touch it, which is probably why I'm going to die alone. I cannot cook you a meal, okay? But
you're not going to die alone, though, are you?
Thank you.
It's just choices.
Thank you. Oh, wow, okay, we're getting pretty deep here.
No, I'm not talking about... I was actually talking about food. You don't
okay.
have to, sorry, yes. I was talking about microwave. You could learn to cook and put it in the oven. You've gone straight into your personal life and looked at me like it's all my fault. What's going on here?
So, I mean, I think when we look at this headline, obviously we just say duh, but it is, I think that it's relevant in the sense that this is a person that's trying to convince us that she's the next Martha Stewart, or that she's always elevating things. Well, you're going to need to change the channel. It goes beyond flour sprinkles, girlfriend. It goes beyond cream cheese and then throw in some fruit on top. We need to see more from her if we're going to believe that she's an expert in this industry.
But I mean, so a lot of people will text after this segment and they'll say to me, don't you just feel, though, that by talking about her, you are perpetuating the fact that this odious human being wants attention, and that if we didn't talk about her cream cheese bagel, or what was it last week, her flavoured water that she passed off as mulled wine, that she then just sort of in terms of relevance, curl up in the corner somewhere.
Well, this audience is, you know, they're much smarter than the average audience, which we know. And I think
that was such a little.
No, I know, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. Because
know.
What I'm saying is what they are not saying, because they're focused on real common sense news. They're watching Talk. What they're not saying is People Magazine and Us Weekly Magazine and all of the outlets that are pandering to this grifter. And so what I would tell them is that we're trying to hold her accountable.
Yeah.
And while all these other people are falling over for her saying, oh, it's a new wine launch, it's a new this, we're raising our hands going, but it's been available for 3 weeks and it hasn't sold out. So how successful truly is this brand? Or we're saying, what qualifies you to be an expert in this industry? I would simply say we're trying to hold her accountable when there are other outlets out there that are giving her the time of day in a legitimate way.
I'm not even going to comment about watching her trying to put a bagel with cream cheese in it. And also, just to finish, I would put the difference between our future Queen, Princess Catherine, and her exemplified again yesterday. While Meghan Markle's talking about I can't even say it, Princess Catherine's talking about this Christmas Carol concert that she does every single year, and the charities that benefit and the kids that get involved and how it brings communities together. And that surely, however old-fashioned you are, is what being a royal's about. It's not about launching chances for you to make money. Me. Who's that for?
Meghan. Me. It's all about me. No, you're absolutely right, Catherine. We just found out that her Christmas Carol concert is going to be recorded December 5th.
Are you going?
I wish I mean, please, Catherine, hi, I love you. I mean, I wear my hair like you, I wear my Spanx like you, but
Sorry, can we just, sorry.
No, but let me get to
No. Can we just have God, I've done like the cover of the Archbishop of Canterbury, like I'm going to baptise somebody. I think it is fundamentally wrong for you to imply on Talk that Princess Catherine wears Spanx.
Well, no, tights. I should have said tights. Body-hugging tights.
Mark, who pushes the buttons, wears Spanx. That's another story. That's only privately.
We love Mark. But, you know, I think that we might have had this conversation earlier where Meghan sat down with Fortune's most powerful women and said, I have a Christmas special coming out in November. Then she changes her tune and releases the information through Netflix that it's coming out December 3rd. And I immediately said, you're trying to conflict with our Princess of Wales in her annual Christmas Carol concert. And we just got the date, so... Told you so is basically what I'm here to say, and I just am sick of the game of these two grifters.
Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins. You're in London, but you're not in the studio. But good to have you in the town. What are you up to?
Getting caught in the rain, so I apologize.
Hey, it's London.
Yeah, and then my Mercury's definitely in retrograde because as I was trying to get myself together for you, the blow dryer blew in my hotel room, so nothing's going right, but I feel like this chat between us is going to smooth things out and make it all better. You're my zen, Kev.
You too, Kinsey. You're looking great, by the way. Don't worry about the hairdryer. Seriously, you must have jet lag, but you look $1 million. Now, let's talk about we talk about some strange stories involving Meghan, don't we? But this one is unbelievable. So they go to Kris Jenner, you know, Kim Kardashian's mum, to her 70th birthday party. This birthday party is hosted by Jeff Bezos and his wife Lauren Sanchez at their $164 million Beverly Hills mansion. They go there, and we saw the pictures, didn't we, earlier this week? Them turning. It was a bit of a row because it was a James Bond themed party, and people like Beyonce were there, Mariah Carey, Justin Bieber, Paris Hilton, anybody who was anybody was there. It was a real A-list event. Harry and Meghan turn up, James Bond themed, so Harry's wearing his 007 black tuxedo, and he's got a poppy on because it was before Remembrance Day, and Meghan didn't have one. So a lot of people saying, "Why aren't you wearing a poppy?" She said, "Oh, poppies aren't widely available in America." Well, you're at the Amazon boss's house. You could have ordered one on Amazon. It would have been there same day, $8 apparently. But anyway, that was one thing. We thought, oh, I thought to myself, I'll talk to Kinsey about that. And then, never mind that, So that, as you would imagine, turning up and inside the party, photographers, you know, star-studded, lots of photographs taken, and then Kim Kardashian, the queen of reality TV, and her mum, Kris Jenner, put out pictures of all the celebs, and you know, they put out a sort of file of the pictures on social media, an Instagram roundup of all the celebs who was there. And then all of a sudden, some people, oh, that's interesting, there's Harry and Meghan. There were pictures of Harry and Meghan sort of sashaying up to, or Harry sashaying up to Kris to dance. A big picture of Meghan smiling with Kim Kardashian. And then all of a sudden, those pictures of the gruesome twosome, Harry and Meghan, disappeared. They were removed. And the big question is why? Well, Meghan, subsequent to this strange disappearance of their images, the gruesome twosome, Meghan's favourite mouthpiece, People magazine, has said, well, what it was that Meghan ticked the no photo box in the consent form, and she was very angry that that was ignored. Well, the other theory is that the boot might be on the other foot, that the Kardashians have sort of looked into it and thought, well, don't know if we want to be connected or we want to be associated with this too, because Meghan's getting more toxic by the day. So the question is, in a very long-winded way, Kinsey, the question is, why were these pictures removed? Who was responsible and why? What do you think happened?
Well, I've worked for the Kardashians. I threw parties for the Kardashians. And when you do throw a party for a Kardashian, there is paperwork that goes out to everyone attending the event to confirm that their image is allowed to be either on display for the program, their television show, or for publishing. And so I am familiar with that paperwork. And it's my understanding that Meghan and Harry's team received the paperwork prior to the event and opted to not have their pictures published. Even sometimes when we would do events, there would be a sign outside that in big font said, if you enter this venue, you are giving us permission to appear on a TV show.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
So this is a reality television family. I have a hard time believing that there weren't reality television cameras inside the party. I think that Harry and Meghan had a discussion about whether or not they wanted their images published and determined that they did not. And by asking the Kardashians to take them down, it's really them just big timing the Kardashians, because they knew their photos were being taken because they are posing for a significant amount of the photos. Yeah, some are them in the background, and some are them, in real life, in getting it candid, but they're cheesing for the majority of the images that we've seen. To be honest, this to me sounds like a Kardashian publicity stunt. This sounds like a Kardashian-born publicity stunt. And again, I've worked with them, so I've seen it firsthand. Kim Kardashian just came out with the ugliest pair of panties that we don't have to get into description. But she just came out with this foul set of underwear, not because women want to purchase it and they sold out, but because she wanted the press. She wanted to shock the country. This is a woman that, is only on the scene because of a sex tape with Ray J. She used to organize real celebrities' closets, and she transitioned into this celebrity and pop culture personality by doing these outrageous things. So the Kardashians know how to execute a stunt. Once a picture is out on the internet, it lives forever. Mm-hmm. There's no way Harry and Meghan really think they're going to get images taken down and that we're never going to see them again. I mean, I've seen Harry in Vegas plenty of times. So this does feel like a Kardashian a Kardashian scheme, if I'm being completely honest with you, because this story is unbelievably huge in the States.
Yeah. I mean, it's talk of the town in Hollywood, isn't it? And all across America, and indeed here. Now, you know, if you take an alternative view, let's, you know,
I mean, I think the alternative view is that Harry and Meghan are trying to tell the Kardashians, no, we're in charge. We're royalty.
Yeah, that now, if that is the case, I mean, I take your point. You know, the Kardashians are pretty good at playing the media game. But if it's the case that, in retrospect, or that Harry and Meghan decided, oh, we don't really want our pictures to be put on social media, please take them down, and Kris and Kim did do that. Well, what's being bandied about is the Kardashians are not at all happy about this, and by extension, nor are the hosts of the party, Jeff Bezos and Laura Sanchez. And if that is the case, and Harry, and specifically Meghan, have fallen out with the Kardashians, that's a bit of a no-no in Hollywood, isn't it? I mean, whatever you think of the Kardashians, they are pretty influential. And certainly it's a big no-no to fall out with Jeff Bezos, who's now gone into the film production game and is financing...
He's in his new movie,
Yeah. He's financing Meghan's movie, and that's why some people say that Meghan was keen to go to this event to suck up to the biggest money man in Hollywood, so that after she's finished making this film Close Personal Friends, in which she plays herself, must be tough role for her, just about within the grasp of her acting abilities, I suppose.
Which personality is Meghan playing of herself? Which one?
Which part? Which Meghan is she playing? Very good. But seriously, so people are saying, well, the reason she really went to this party was to suck up to Jeff, because in the future maybe he could finance a film for her, a better role, all of that sort of thing. Either way, the fallout, according to some publications, seems to be the Kardashians are really fed up with Meghan, and so's Jeff Bezos. So if that's the case, well played, Meghan, you've done it again. Does she ever do anything right?
No. But again, like, I look back at I don't know why my senses tell me that this is all a big PR stunt. Remember, I told you when we saw Meghan at the Balenciaga show, who is a Balenciaga ambassador? Who is the first celebrity to return to Balenciaga after their big ad scandal? It was Kim Kardashian. The Kardashians are very close to the Balenciaga brand. And I said then that I felt like Kris Jenner had created that opportunity for Meghan Markle to be at Paris Fashion Week. And again, you know, that just seemed like a PR stunt, because what has come out of Meghan Markle's fashion ambitions since then. We're just patiently waiting for a Christmas special. But would they go to this event and alienate themselves? I don't know. I don't know if they would really risk that. They have a lot to lose. They don't have a lot going on for themselves these days. 2025, in my opinion, has been a huge letdown and disappointment and reality check for these two.
Exactly right. Now, well, let's talk a little bit about Harry, because we saw him. We saw him at the Dodgers. Was it LA Dodgers? Was that last week when they went for a date night to watch the LA Dodgers play the Toronto Blue Jays at Dodger Stadium in LA? And then subsequently there was this weird black and white video that Meghan put out, where she was whooping and hollering watching the football on the TV. American football, that is, of course.
Baseball.
Or baseball. You and your American games, you know.
Our balls.
Yeah.
We have so many balls.
Soccer and cricket, those are the proper games, Kinsey, you know that. No, seriously. So she's whooping and hollering watching the baseball, and the camera cuts to him, and he looks really, really scowling and fed up. Also,
you can see his soul leaving his body.
Yeah, you can. And from what I saw of most of the pictures here before they were removed, he didn't look very happy at this Kardashian party. So I'm getting the feeling that, you know, Meghan's obviously in overdrive. She's on manoeuvres, trying to work out what the next stage of her checkered career is going to be. And the way she goes about this is to get herself pictured, to do a video, her with the back of the kids' heads, pictured there, filmed there, Instagram posts, just to get herself talked about. So that involves going to parties and being seen around. And I'm getting the increasing feeling that when you see Harry's face when he's dragged out to these events, he doesn't look at all happy. I think he's sick to death of being paraded in Hollywood by his ambitious wife.
I agree, and they were because they had the baby-to-baby event that night as well, so they were likely crawling out of that party after midnight. Well, if you're crawling out of that party after midnight and you're Prince Harry and you just spent, you know, a few days in Canada talking about how important Remembrance Day is and Remembrance Sunday is, then you're likely aware of the fact that it's after midnight, it's now Sunday, and there are going to be pictures of you printed, whether you checked yes on a piece of paper or not. There are going to be pictures of you printed, paparazzi shots, that will be all over the media at the same time that we're seeing images of your family members honoring the dead and remembering the fallen. And you're seeing that life of service, and you're seeing how important the military is to the British royal family. The optics are so terrible in that situation. And you mentioned this earlier, Beyonce and Jay-Z attended that party as well. How many pictures have you seen of Beyonce and Jay-Z?
Yeah, that's true. So do you think?
You've seen zero because they entered through a secret entrance. So
right?
We know a secret entrance existed, and they did not pose for any images. Harry and Meghan entered where the paparazzi were taking photos, and they posed for images inside the event. I do believe that Harry is miserable and Meghan is orchestrating all of this, and Meghan is increasingly damaging what's left of Harry's reputation and brand. The Dodgers game is a great example where the Dodgers are playing the Blue Jays. Harry's father is the king of Canada, and Harry had a trip to Canada a week out, and he opted to wear a Dodgers hat, and then when he arrives in Canada has to grovel and apologize for not wearing a Blue Jays cap. Then you have what some deem as disrespectful for Harry to be running around chasing after the Kardashians when the royal family is in high gear all around the 80th anniversary and just trying to honor the dead. Meghan is so fixated on fame that she continues to jeopardize what's left of Prince Harry's legacy.
Are you buying that? A lot of people say she's doing this really rather boring sounding film with a kind of small star cast. I mean, it's not exactly A-list performers in this film. What do you got? Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son. You've got Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter, and what's the other one called? Lauren.
Brie Larson, and then there's the handsome British man.
Okay, well, it's not exactly an all-star cast, as I say. It's a small star cast. It doesn't strike me as the biggest production around, and we discussed this the other day. She let it be known, I've been inundated with offers since I quit acting 8 years ago. I reckon this was the first offer she's had. Now, I wonder why she's grasped it. Maybe it's because she's desperate to get back to acting, or to see if she can learn how to act after all these years. Or maybe it's because she needs the money. What do you reckon?
Well, I reckon that Netflix is not happy about this because they've been on the payroll for 5 years, and Netflix does regularly in their newer, younger content, like Nobody Wants This Season 2, they reference Meghan Markle and Prince Harry in jokes and in, just pop culture references. I've seen multiple movies on Netflix that reference Meghan Markle. And in a positive way. I mean, not necessarily a negative way. So I do buy that there have been cameo opportunities for her. But again, with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays, a million pictures of Meghan wearing a Blue Jays cap, these two continue to show their complete lack of loyalty, because if Meghan was loyal to Netflix, she would have given them her first cameo. The Amazon thing, maybe she did like the script, but I think that she is saying maybe that, she kept saying like this was the year of the Markle Sparkle. It's giving the year of yes. That book that's like, take a chance, say yes to everything, even if you don't want to do it, because nothing seems choreographed or nothing seems to make sense, or the end game. What's the ultimate objective? Are you a lifestyle expert? Are you an actress? Are you a calligrapher? Are you a producer? Where's Meet Me at the Lake? Are you an author? What are you? Are you a reality star? What are you? Are you a fashionista? I don't know what she is. So I really can't even answer your question. I don't know what the goal is, except attention, attention, attention.
Yeah, and I also think, do you remember when she used to hang around with that guy who was the chief of Paramount? Flew down in his plane, didn't they?
I think that he lost his job.
Yeah,
yes.
he lost his job. So I think she's moved on to Bezos. He likes hang around with men with money, and I don't mean that in a salacious way. She likes to do it for her career. What do you think?
I think that if you are a man with money, I would hang out with you. Like, if you're watching this and you have money, I probably hang out with. I'm just kidding.
If you're addressing me, Kinsey, you're out of luck.
When it comes to, Page 6 reports that she was in major schmooze mode inside.
Yeah, I bet she was. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, that's always been her goal. She's and this is not the first time she has spent time with Jeff Bezos. She went to 2 Beyonce concerts in LA. The first one she went with Prince Harry, and the second time I think she was not with Prince Harry, and she was seen in the same social area as Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez. And I said then that she was probably looking to ingratiate herself with them in case if there was any fallout from Netflix.